basically right now with the show is I was working on it, and this morning a new governing council member was announced. And that is Mondelēz, who is the maker of Oreo, Ritz, Cliff Bar, Tate's Bake Shop biscuits and snacks, Cadbury, Dairy Milk, like Toblerone, like a huge multinational corporation. And it's interesting for me because a conversation I've seen in the community around governing council members and the governing council is like, you know, supply chain is a huge aspect of, I think, the value proposition Hedera brings. We've seen quite a few supply chain use cases. I mean, if folks recall, you know, Hyundai announced a supply chain use case on Hedera, and that was in the automotive space. So we're seeing some more diversification in those use cases, but then also having this, you know, new governing council member in the food and beverage space is really, really interesting. And like, what we'll do is we'll just take a look at their site. Mondelēz International, snacking made right. I did accept cookies on this page, by the way. And right on the homepage, you know, you see their promises to, you know, reach net zero emissions by 2050. And so to me, you know, when you look at Hedera, when you look at the positioning of the governing council, when you look at what they're going after, it's pretty clear, you know, a lot of these corporations and companies and enterprises and organizations are, you know, definitely focused on net zero goals and carbon friendliness and ESG and all that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, you know, just a new space, food. And we look at the logos down here, like Philadelphia cream cheese, Toblerone, Halls, Oreo. We'll take a look at some of the names later in the show, but yeah, this is Mondelēz, and we can see the tweet from Hedera. And this is the first thing that I really wanted to highlight just before we dive into the details, which is this video that Hedera did. That's a little, I found it to be, and I mean, folks can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels a little different than other kind of like announcement videos that Hedera, you know, released for governing council member announcements. I'll maybe just play it real quick for folks listening live on X. I think there's some audio to this, or is it just music? Yeah, I think this is just music. But basically, it's just like, you know, footage of their factory and flashing all these brands like Ritz crackers, Oreos, all those kinds of stuff. And it's really fascinating to me because this is a really branded video. Like, this is really this new governing council member saying like, hey, yeah, you know, we're big, we're bad, we're coming into Hedera, we're coming in hot. They're showing footage of their supply chains with their products running through it. There is definitely some attention to detail and some effort being put into this this video. You know, it shows kind of, oh yeah, there's this ending part too of like, what future will you build and stuff like that. So also too, if we look at the blog, like on Hedera's website, let me try to pull this up here. The actual image that they're using for the announcement is, you know, hello, sweet future, right? So this just to me feels a little more of like an integrated announcement than we've seen in the past with governing council members joining. A lot of the media that came out, the images, all those kinds of things definitely feel to me like this is a governing council member that's like coming in hot, you know what I mean? And it feels like they're really trying to make a statement with this. So off the gate, just, you know, the book's cover here, and I'm judging it, you know, so far so good. And then kind of like from the marketing angle as well, we've got this morning, alongside the announcement, we've got head of marketing at Swirlds Labs, Christian Hasker, opening a box of Oreo cookies that are branded as Hedera, like with the Hedera logo on them. We'll just take a quick look at this clip.
Happy Valentine's Day, Hedera community.
Oh, yeah, Valentine's Day.
Today we welcome Mondelēz to the Hedera Council. And Mondelēz owns different brands like Cadbury, Toblerone, Milka, Chips Ahoy. Maybe one of the more famous ones worldwide is Oreo cookies. Delicious. And here we have special Hedera cookies.
I think these will be a thing.
Little go here. Yummy.
Yeah, so he's eating an Oreo with a Hedera logo on it. He's very pumped about it. And
Happy Valentine's Day, Hedera.
For me, when I look at this again, it's that integration of the announcement. There is like a very strong partnership there, like, custom packaging for custom Oreo cookie for Hedera. I don't know if another governing council member yet has kind of done kind of like an experiential marketing type thing quite like that yet. So right out the gate, right, from what the community's seeing, from what I'm seeing, as this announcement really starts to roll out this morning, I'm feeling like, okay, this is a very substantial announcement. This is something that is hitting a little more on the mark than other governing council announcements have hit. And not to say that past governing council member announcements haven't hit. I mean, we've had some incredible governing council member announcements. Something about this one, I don't know. It feels a little different. I think like I said, it's because it's the food and beverage industry. It is a fresh kind of zone. It's integrated, and also, the memes that are going to come out of this. I don't know. There's just something. There's something unique about this announcement. This governing council member announcement, and we'll go over some details about it. But I mean, it was covered in CoinDesk, Financial Times. They're coming in hot. I think literally also too, just as this show is happening right now, Genfinity, shout out to King Solomon and the Genfinity team there. They're doing a Spaces on X right now about this, and also about how SKUX comes into this potential use case, because as we know, Mondelēz has already kind of been leveraging SKUX for a few different aspects of how they're leveraging Hedera. Like, it's very, very interesting stuff. So let's dive into a few details here. So Mondelēz is a leading multinational food company with iconic global and local brands such as Oreo, Ritz, Cliff Bar, Tate's Bake Shop, Snacks, Cadbury, all that kind of stuff. We've been over that. These are just some quick excerpts from the article on the Hedera website and a few other articles. So as a member of the Hedera Council, Mondelēz International, whose mission is to empower people to snack right. I mean, that's quite a slogan. There's a few responses to this governing council member announcement, which is like, these people make junk food and give people diabetes and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I mean, if we're going for supply chain use cases, if we're going for TPS, if we're going for whatever, I mean, these are the kind of companies that are going to be driving that stuff. So I think, moral compass aside, I mean, we all like a good cookie now and then. So I think we're all guilty of partaking, but I can understand. So as a member of the Hedera Council, Mondelēz is working to develop innovative distributed ledger technologies, based solutions on Hedera, initially focused on digital transformation initiatives. We've heard that phrase quite a bit. Supply chain management and enriched business processes to help enable customer experiences. So what does that mean? Basically, They're trying to make their company more efficient, their supply chains more efficient. And, when they say things like enhanced customer experience, that kind of falls back on what we hear a lot in this ecosystem, which is kind of like consumer engagement. And that falls right in the pocket of coupons, these different types of things. So these are the kind of things we're getting at. These are the kind of things we're chipping away to. And it does feel like we're getting closer, which is really, really exciting. Few other pieces here. This is where kind of like the SKUX stuff comes in. But one example is showcased in Mondelēz's current work with SKUX, a rising fintech payments platform company. SKUX and Mondelēz are expanding a consumer service program enhancing consumer offer experiences by adding near real-time SKUX digital payment options alongside coupons, mailed paper checks, and vouchers. The next generation use case leveraging Hedera will serve as the real first world adoption of DLT to track the supply chain of consumer-based goods, right? Or some consumer packaged goods. You'll see this phrase too. I think this is a big phrase we're going to see in the Hedera ecosystem is like CPG, consumer packed goods. If Hedera is really going to be leaning hard into supply chain, this is really kind of at the heart of what that's about. So the SKUX stuff, basically what that's about, again, is they mention, coupons, mailed paper checks, vouchers. It's all about digitizing and modernizing how consumers interact with these kinds of packaged goods. And very often that, of course, is, the form of coupons and rewards and different things like that. So digitizing those things, tokenizing those things, that's been a big topic in this ecosystem. And I think that now you bring in a governing council member that is in the food and beverage space, in the supply chain space, that could be a major catalyst for a few of these different things taking off. And we'll take a closer look at that just in a minute. But so another excerpt from these articles and pieces are the Hedera Council is a consortium of over 30 highly diversified organizations governing the Hedera network, a sustainable public ledger, blah, blah, blah. As one of the largest snack companies in the world, Mondelēz International's exploration of DLT will further strengthen its ability to help customers on their digital transformation journey with a goal to innovate customer engagement. And then there's a quote: "We are excited to announce our commitment to digital transformation, exploring distributed ledger technologies alongside Hedera." They're looking to solve problems. So basically in that kind of press release, in this news, we can draw already a couple conclusions, which is, of course, number one, it's been really drilled into our heads that potential and I think Mance, the co-founder of Hedera, really drives this point home, which is new governing council members. There's a huge focus on them needing to be building on Hedera. So they're not going to add a new governing council member if that proposed governing council member is not planning to or is building on Hedera. So that's a big sign. Like, you can safely assume from what's in the press release and also what we know about the governing council's posture towards new members is, this giant company is building on Hedera, and we're getting glimpses of what exactly they're building. And it turns out what they're building is pretty much in line with what we've been seeing. So there is a big trend picking up here. And it's interesting because it's not what we're used to, which is like the strictly kind of like ESG carbon type stuff. This goes a little more broad when it comes to supply chain stuff. So some quick stats about Mondelēz is they have revenue of $36 billion. That was in 2023. They've got assets worth $71 billion, 91,000 employees. That's big. And they've got operations in over 80 countries. So that is like a really big company. Like, this is a huge enterprise. Arguably, one of the largest on the governing council. And there was a great thread posted by James Cook at James Cook 31337. I actually see James listening right now. Shout out to you. This was a cool graphic that you shared and a cool thread So James shared on X a post that was one of these kinds of diagrams of, hey, here's this giant conglomerate company. Here's what they're connected to. And so this image is kind of spreading around the Hedera ecosystem. And it is true. I mean, this is a huge multinational company that is in, again, the food space. And the brand names here are all recognizable. We've all enjoyed these brands from time to time. Some are guilty pleasures. And furthermore, when we look at the new coupon standards, right, we talk about coupons all the time. A quick refresher is, there is the existing 8110 coupon standard that everyone uses. That standard is being sunset, and there is going to be a new coupon standard, AI 8112, that leverages Hedera, that the industry is going to move to. So that's really exciting. And that's been in the works for a long time. There's been a lot of substantial announcements around that we've talked about. So there's a lot of really great movement with the coupon use cases. But when we actually take a closer look and you kind of zoom out, you see, Mondelēz amongst other giant food conglomerates, right? Like PepsiCo, Kellogg's, Mars, General Mills, Procter, and then these other giant brands like Unilever, Procter and Gamble. So Johnson and Johnson. And these are companies that are going to be leveraging this new coupon standard, right? So on the Coupon Bureau website, the organization that is kind of shepherding this new 8112 coupon standard into the world, built on Hedera, they have, summarized kind of the brands that have committed to this new coupon standard and are looking forward to integrating it, which are many of those names. Clearly, Mondelēz is amongst those. And also, too, we've known that the big kind of setback for coupons, this new coupon standard, really has been the point of sale systems. And we talked a few weeks ago about Toshiba point of sale systems integrating the new coupon standard. So a lot of blockers being removed for a major use case. And when I say major use case, what I mean is a lot of transactions going to the mainnet. That hopefully would not be subsidized. So that's really exciting. And I think, that's really what makes this new governing council member really exciting is it is kind of, I feel like that last piece. And it's so funny to keep going back to coupons. Coupons are almost a meme or a joke in the Hedera space right now, where it was kind of talked about as a use case, and I think as early as like 2019 or 2020, and not a whole lot happening since then. I mean, they've had some proof of concepts and trial runs in some mom and pop, grocery stores and ice cream shops, I think, and a hardware store. But I think that, understanding that standard will be adopted by the industry, and there's just, it's about navigating those different barriers. You look at this Hedera governing council member joining, again, this is a governing council member in the food space that will be fully leveraging these types of things. They are now a part owner of the Hedera LLC. They're governing the network. They're running a node. They have a literal stake in the direction of the network. And I think that a lot of people have felt that, supply chain, coupons, those different types of things, consumer engagement is an important direction for the network to go. So that I think that we're going to start to see priorities in Hedera change from an enterprise perspective in a great way and kind of expand. Because literally, again, we've got a governing council member that is a massive enterprise that is a massive supply chain use case. So I think for me, the key takeaway is I want to get more details about what they're building. I'm looking forward to seeing more analysis coming out from the Hedera community. And I'm hoping that, we get some interviews and we get some exposure from folks at Mondelēz and really get a better idea of who from their organization is going to be on the governing council, attending those meetings, who's going to be the kind of the liaison to Hedera. It's going to be really interesting. Like, do they have a research and development department? You know, is it kind of like the CTO's, is it the CTO's initiative? Like, it's going to be really interesting to kind of see what that's all about and begin to kind of map it out a little bit. So we'll probably touch on the new governing council member announcement a little later in the show, but there's some other stories we want to get to. The most important, I think, being a lot of stuff that's been happening in the Hedera community over the last few days that I think is really important to highlight, summarize, review, and move forward with, because I think that it's tough, but I also think that it's really important and healthy.